Welcome to the True Alien Podcast.
Great to be here.
Get ready for today's paranormal probe because we've got a really bizarre one. An unexpected story out of China.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving into this mystery that has, well, archaeologists pretty stumped, and let's just say the conspiracy theorists are having a field day. We're talking about the LONGYOU Caves.
Ah, LONGYOU. Yes, fascinating place. Definitely raises questions.
Right. So our mission today is basically to sift through what we actually know about these huge underground caverns. Try to figure out what's plausible and what might be something else.
Something a bit more paranormal, perhaps.
Exactly. We've got the discovery details, the incredible measurements, these really strange features inside them, the total lack of history.
That historical vacuum is key, yeah.
And yeah, some pretty out there theories too. So for you, the learner, listening in, wanting to get a grip on this complex stuff fast, we're going to break down just what makes LONGYOU such an enduring enigma.
We'll hit those aha moments. Try to avoid getting too bogged down in jargon.
Definitely. Prepare for some facts that might genuinely challenge what you think you know about ancient history. So, okay, where does it all start? It's almost like a movie setup, right? Farmer Pond.
It really is. It kicks off in 1992. You've got this farmer, Wu Anai, in Zhejiang province, China.
Okay.
He and some neighbors were looking at this local pond, and it just seemed bottomless, almost unnaturally deep. So they decided, let's drain it, see what's going on.
And they weren't quite expecting what they found, I take it.
Not at all. As the water level dropped, they found an entrance, not to a natural cave, but something clearly artificial, man-made.
Just one entrance, or...
Well, that's the thing. What they initially thought was one cave, it turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. It led to a whole network. They've confirmed at least 24 of these massive separate chambers.
24? Wow.
And, there's whispers there could be even more, still hidden, still flooded maybe. This isn't some little grotto. It's a huge underground complex.
Okay. Huge. Doesn't quite cut it sometimes. Give us a sense of the scale we're talking about here.
Right. Well, these aren't like cramped tunnels. The average floor space in each cave is around 1,000 square meters.
That's over 10,000 square feet per cave.
Per cave, yeah. And the ceilings, they go way up, sometimes as high as 30 meters.
Nearly 100 feet high, underground.
Exactly. Now think about the work involved. To hollow that out, the estimated amount of rock they had to excavate is somewhere around 900,000 cubic meters.
900,000 cubic meters. Isn't that comparable to, like, the Great Pyramid?
It's in that ballpark, yeah. It's an absolutely colossal amount of material to move, especially back then, presumably without, modern diggers and trucks.
Okay, that's staggering. But it gets weirder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just the size.
It does. It's how they were made, or how they look, anyway. The walls, the ceilings, they're not rough-hewn rock.
No.
No, they're covered in these incredibly consistent parallel grooves, like chisel marks, but uniform.
Like someone dragged a giant comb across the rock.
Yeah. That's a pretty good analogy, actually. And the really strange part, the angle of these marks, the spacing between them, it's incredibly uniform.
Uniform across one cave, or?
Across multiple caves. This pattern repeats. Modern engineers, they look at this and struggle. How could you achieve that level of precision manually in Siltstone over such vast areas? It suggests a technique or technology we just don't associate with that period.
Okay, so massive scale, incredible precision.
Yeah.
You'd think a project like this would be, I don't know, famous, written about.
You would absolutely expect that. And that brings us to maybe the biggest mystery of all.
Which is?
The historical vacuum. There is absolutely zero mention of the LONGYOU Caves being built in any known historical records.
None. No imperial decrees, no local gazettes, no diaries, nothing.
Zip. Nada. Think about it. Moving almost 1 million cubic meters of rock would have required immense organization, manpower, resources. It should be somewhere in the records.
Right.
But it's just not.
So what does that mean? Were ancient Chinese historians just incredibly forgetful?
Well, that seems unlikely, given how meticulous they often were. It raises some really fundamental questions. Is our understanding of their record-keeping flawed? Or
were the builders operating completely off the books?
Yeah.
Maybe not even part of the recognized society of the time.
That's the more intriguing possibility, isn't it? That whoever did this somehow existed outside the documented historical narrative.
Which leads to another massive practical question. If you dig out 900,000 cubic meters of rock, where does it go?
Exactly. Standard quarrying, mining, you always get spoil heaps. Big piles of leftover rock and dirt near the site.
Right, you see them near any big construction project even today.
But around LONGYOU,
Yeah.
There's no massive debris field, nothing that accounts for that sheer volume of missing siltstone.
So, did they just, like, truck it all away somewhere else for some other huge, also undocumented project?
That's one possibility. Maybe it was used for something somewhere that we just haven't found or connected yet, or
Right.
was the excavation method itself different? Could it have somehow, I don't know, disintegrated the rock? Or processed it on site in a way that left no trace? Maybe crushed it incredibly fine and used it as fill somewhere unobtrusively? We just don't know. It's another layer of baffling mystery.
Okay, let's just recap the weirdness here. Colossal size, unbelievable precision in the markings, absolutely no historical records, and a mountain's worth of rock just gone.
Yeah, when you put it all together, it really pushes the boundaries of conventional explanations.
It makes you seriously question the standard timelines, doesn't it? What we assume ancient people could or couldn't do.
Absolutely. The existence of LONGYOU suggests, well, maybe some ancient civilizations had capabilities, technological, organizational, that we're just not giving them credit for, perhaps far earlier than we think.
And those tool marks, the grooves, they scream something more than just basic chisels, right?
They really do. That uniformity over such huge areas, it implies a systematic approach, maybe specialized tools, maybe even some kind of machinery, rudimentary as it might have been, that allowed for that consistency, it feels engineered.
And the silence from history, the missing rock,
Yeah.
it's not just a lack of evidence. It feels like evidence of something strange is going on.
That's a good way to put it. The absence of the expected becomes significant in itself. It strongly suggests the standard story might not fit here.
It makes you wonder, are there other places like this, other ancient sites that just don't quite add up?
Well, interestingly, LONGYOU isn't entirely alone in presenting these kinds of puzzles. If you look globally, there are other sites that share some of these, let's say, high strangeness factors.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, think about Derinkuyu in Turkey.
The underground city.
Exactly. A massive multi-level complex carved deep underground. Or Pumapunku in Bolivia, famous for those incredibly precise stone blocks, the H blocks, cut with near-perfect angles.
Right, the ones that look almost machine cut.
Precisely. And then you have Sacsayhuaman in Peru near Cusco, those enormous polygonal stones fitted together so tightly you can't slip the piece of paper between them.
Okay, yeah. Those sites always spark debate about lost technology or other things.
They do. And when you see sites like these, including LONGYOU, collectively, they do hint that maybe our picture of the ancient past is incomplete. Maybe there were advanced human civilizations we've lost track of, or perhaps.
Perhaps outside help.
That's where some of the more speculative theories start to come in, yeah. They suggest the standard explanations just don't cut it for these anomalies.
So let's get into those theories. What are people proposing for LONGYOU specifically? You got the more down-to-earth ideas first, I assume.
Right. Some researchers try to fit it into known boxes. Maybe they were just quarries and the fine finishing was done later for some reason. Or maybe vast storage depots. Or maybe even failed attempts at tomb construction.
But those explanations have problems, right? Like the scale, the precision, the missing history.
Exactly. Those conventional theories often struggle to account for all the weird factors simultaneously. Why quarry with such painstaking precision? Why no records of such huge storage?
So then what? What are the less conventional ideas?
Well, they range quite a bit. One idea is a massive religious or ritual center built underground for reasons we can no longer fathom.
Okay, possible. What else?
Some suggest maybe it was a bunker, a shelter built by a lost, maybe pre-cataclysm human civilization that was more advanced than we realize.
A sort of antediluvian shelter complex.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then it goes further out, doesn't it?
It does. This is where you get into the really out there territory, depending on your perspective, of course.
Lay it on us.
Theories include the idea that LONGYOU might have been an actual extraterrestrial base.
An alien outpost under China.
Or maybe hibernation chambers, even. Another related idea is that it's part of a much larger, maybe even global network of ancient underground tunnels or bases. A hidden subterranean world.
Wow. Okay. Any other big ones?
There's also speculation linking it, oddly enough, to Emperor Qin Shi Huang.
The first emperor. Terracotta army guy.
That's the one. The idea being, maybe this was some vast secret project of his on a scale we didn't know about. And some versions of that theory even speculate he might have had, well, non-terrestrial help to pull it off.
Emperor Qin and E.T. building secret underground lairs. Okay. That's definitely a theory.
It certainly captures the imagination, you have to admit. But look, stripping away the wildest speculation, the core fact remains. The Longyou Caves are a genuine, unsolved mystery.
They just don't fit neatly anywhere, do they?
Not easily, no. They resist simple categorization within our established historical framework.
And they really do make you wonder what else is out there, hidden, forgotten.
Absolutely. They're a stark reminder that our understanding of the past is probably full of holes, and that amazing discoveries can still pop up and force us to rethink everything.
So, turning it over to you listening, what do you make of the Longyou Caves? Seriously, is it just incredibly skilled ancient workers who somehow got erased from history?
Or does the sheer scale, that bizarre precision, the missing rock, the silent history, does all that point towards something much, much stranger?
This paranormal probe into File 17 definitely leaves us hanging, doesn't it? More questions than solid answers. It really highlights how much of our own planet story might still be completely unknown.
Yeah, just think about it, the sheer effort.
Mm-hmm.
Moving all that rock, those markings, so uniform, what kind of society or what could do that and leave zero trace in the history books?
The Longyou Caves are like an invitation, aren't they? An invitation to question, to wonder, to keep digging into the unexplained parts of our world.
Maybe the real answers aren't in the history we already know, but in the chapters we haven't even discovered yet. Something to think about.